And for Off the Block, I'm Vane Lips, and we are now joined by Penn State coach Mark Pavlik here to talk a little bit about their upcoming non-conference matches between Ball State and IPFW, participating in what we've dubbed the East vs. Midwest Challenge. So, Coach, I guess to start off with, you're making another road trip to start this season. What are you expecting from these two non-conference matches against the two schools in Indiana?
You play Ball State, Northern Arena, and IPFW Gates, and they are so comfortable on their home courts with their crowds that you really got to be on your game to make sure that you don't give them any openings that they can take advantage of, because even if you play well, they're very capable of playing well at home.
And talking about your team, you guys are coming back from Hawaii where weren't able to win either of your matches. I'm judging, though, you've been around this block a lot of times, not necessarily a level of panic this early in the season, despite being 0-2?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right, Ben. If I start panicking at 0-2 the second weekend of the season, really don't have a lot of faith in our guys.
Yeah.
You do this for that reason. You put them in tough situations that can point out your flaws and your warts, and sometimes when you see these things and you say, okay, well, we thought we had that under control, but we didn't, or you say, oh, well, that's something new, and I think it's just a process of getting in the gym, like all of us are doing right now, and ironing things out, and really taking it as a kind of a preseason type approach to how we're all going to set our course for late April, early May.
Yeah. Now, what was the biggest positive, though, that you were able to take away from the way your team played this past weekend at the Outrigger?
I just like the way we competed. I think that, there's anytime you make a trip like that, you're going to be faced with some adversity, both on the court and potentially off the court. And how you handle yourself to prepare for being on the court is probably the most important part of the early season, and I really believe that's what we saw. We saw our guys prepare themselves. I thought we competed well, and then the time change kicked in a little bit, and not to take anything away from Irvine or Hawaii, because they do what good teams do. They play you tough, and they say, hey, we don't care what you're going through. You gotta beat us. And I think there were stretches where we played very good volleyball, and stretches where the execution didn't match the effort.
Talking about one of your players, Erin Russell, this offseason, he was able to spend time playing with the U.S. men's national team. What have you seen has been the biggest improvement in his game from now compared to when people last saw him in May in the NCAA tournament?
Oh, I just think his whole game is moving incrementally forward. Aaron's stronger than he was last year at this time. He's had one more year under his belt of passing and hitting, and this summer he was exposed to another level of physicality that I think he really needed to see. I think we're going to see more of what we saw at the end of last year from Aaron. I think he's going to be one of the top 3 outside hitters in the country, if not the top one. And I know I say that with great respect with Thomas Jeske, and I think Tom's a great player. I think Aaron's right in that mix too, and Tamir from Hershko from Irvine had a very good outrigger, and he's going to be a handful for everybody. But I think as the year goes along, you're going to see Aaron just stay at or near the top of the outside hitting role that he needs to fill for us. So I know I'm not giving you a good answer, but I just think you're just going to continue to see improvement in Aaron.
Yeah. And Coach, I do want to ask you a little bit about your schedule, and you alluded to this a little earlier with the travel. I know that we did a little projection off the block earlier, and it's something like 15,000 miles that your team is going to travel this year. You know, at this point right now, you're traveling back from Hawaii. Now you got another road trip this weekend. How exhausting is that for you and the players just to have this much travel at the beginning of the season?
I may recover sometime in March from last week and this week. But it's something we've always done, Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at our schedule going back to the early to mid-'90s, we were making these trips. So it's something that I think we're used to. It's something that is, I think, a coaching staff were well aware of, the recovery that's needed, and making sure that we work that into our equation as we prepare for the upcoming matches in the upcoming month and the upcoming season. But, you know, it's kind of business as usual. And you can talk about all the travel, but most of that happens within the first, 3 weeks of the season. And then we're in a EIVA travel, with our furthest trip being out to up to Boston. And, you know, from there, we've got the spring break trip where we do have time to recover from it. So I don't really think I think it's more of a molehill than a mountain for us, because we've just done it so much. It's not like we've only stayed around Pennsylvania and then all of a sudden we're branching out from there. This is kind of what Penn State does and what we're used to doing.
Right. And final question for you, Coach. You know, what is going to be the one key that your team's going to have to do well this weekend to leave with Indiana with 2 non-conference victories?
I think we got to be more efficient with our offense. I think, you know, we're at that part where we're still trying to get some rhythm. I think, like many of us are, you're trying to get some rhythm. You're trying to get everything back to where you patterned it in the fall, and that's what I'm looking for. If we can come out of here with good offensive showing on Friday and Saturday, I think that's my goal.